This is Stephen Greek. So you're telling me there's a chance. We've been coming on and doing some of these video lessons from my leadership book. And I'm a coach, a speaker, an author, and I want to impact, inspire, influence, and ignite the champion inside of you, inside of me. That's what we strive to do. So we've looked at, so you're telling me there's a chance, and we've looked at the story of Dumb and Dumber, Lloyd Christmas, and his love and devotion to follow Mary Swanson across the country to deliver her briefcase. But really what he wanted to do was see if there was an opportunity for them to build a relationship. And when he asked her if they had a chance at all, she said maybe 1 in a million. And that's when he said, so you're telling me there's a chance. And we looked at Star Wars and Han Solo and flying through the asteroid field. And when C-3PO, the robot droid, told him the odds of making it alive through the asteroid field, Han Solo said, never tell me the odds. You know, that's what champions do. That's what leaders do is, you know, we want to, we feel called and compelled to aspire to accomplish something great that's maybe just outside of our reach, or at least it feels like it's outside of our reach. And yet champions they don't always listen to the data. They definitely don't listen to the naysayers and the haters. And maybe you've got some of those people in your life. You're going after some goals right now, and these things matter to you. And I would encourage you, if you're going after some stuff, make sure that you keep a lot of that very close to you, because if we talk too much about our goals and our ambitions before they start to come to fruition, that can be dangerous, because it's easy to get discouraged. It's easy to get distracted. It's easy to get depressed when we're going toward those things and then they don't happen for us right away or after a little bit of time. And then we start telling everyone what we're going to do. And if you tell what you're going to do to the wrong people, they just start backbiting. They just start hating, and they just start questioning you. So make sure the people that you're sharing your goals with are going to support you, that they're loyal to you. And that I always encourage people to make sure that when you share your goals, make sure it's with an inner circle, a very small, tight group of people who will support you, coach you, mentor you, invest in you, help you grow so that you can become who you want to become, whatever that arena is. I know when we jump on here, we've got coaches, we've got wives and moms, and we've got dads and husbands, we've got grandparents on here who are wanting to make a difference in the world they live in, whether it's in their profession or in their family or in their company, in their church, whatever organization whatever team they're a part of, right? They want to show up and bring their best. And so how do we do that every day? I know that, you know, anyone can sit back and be a critic. Anyone can sit back and cross their arms and say, I don't know why they try so hard. I don't know why they do that. But you know what the leaders do, what the difference makers do, what the champion builders do, is they say, just give me a chance. If there's an obstacle, that's an opportunity to step up and show that it can be that obstacle. You can run through it, you can run around it, you can go over it, but that obstacle in your life is there. Let's prove to ourselves and show others that can be moved. And so we've looked at some pretty cool stories so far, but last night on our webinar, and depending on when you're listening to this, this may be your first time, but we started the journey of looking at the American Idol, the television series, and how the contestants, many of them from small towns, they're unknown, they audition, and early in the season, it's so fun to watch because these contestants jump on, they sing a song, some of them are really good, and you can tell right away within a few seconds, like, whoa, listen to that voice, they're amazing. I think they ought to advance to the next round. And then some of these American Idol contestants get on there, and it's kind of funny. I don't want to sound rude. I don't want to be mean, but maybe their gift is not necessarily to be a pop singer or a country singer or an opera singer, because the moment they open their voice, the judges, and we read some of the quotes from these judges, they can get pretty brutal. And so they realize really quickly when the audition is over that they're not going to Hollywood. They're not going to get the golden ticket. They're definitely not going to the next round, at least not this year. But see, I have a lot of respect for people that will get on American Idol, okay, and they'll go after their dream. Maybe that audition, that when they jump on and they go and they fail in front of hundreds of thousands and millions of viewers, maybe they discover, like, hey, maybe the music industry isn't my calling, but maybe I'm going to go do this. And so what champions do many times is they fail forward. And when they just keep getting up and they redirect and they reframe and they relearn, or they go back and they understand that I'm on a journey and I got to chase after my dreams. And so whether you're like Lloyd Christmas from the movie Dumb and Dumber and you're saying, just give me a chance, you're just telling me there's a chance. I got to keep swinging. I got to keep going after the things that inspire me. And so I'm going to read a little bit about Carrie Underwood. She was an American Idol, a small town girl who became a global superstar through the show American Idol. She was from Oklahoma, and she was growing up. She loved Reba McEntire and Dolly Parton. Who are your favorite music stars? Comment below if you like this content. Like, share, heart, repost, and stay interacting. But like, who are some of your favorite music artists? Who are some of the stars that inspired you growing up? Who's right now on your playlist? Let us know who you love to listen to. But Carrie Underwood, she loved to listen to Reba McEntire and Dolly Parton. And she said in her own words, she said, "I was always the kid who wanted to sing. I never wanted to do anything else." So even as a child, she knew in her heart that was something that I want to do this. And some of you think back to your childhood dreams. It's like, what did you want to do? Before there was the peer pressure and the rejection and the people telling you, no, don't chase your dreams. You need to stay back and you need to stay here and you need to take care of all the obligations and responsibilities. What were some of the dreams that were in your heart that maybe you gave up on, or maybe they're still there? It's there, but it's just a small little ember. It's small. And even bringing it up or talking about it maybe stirs up some sort of emotion or frustration or doubt or memory that's kind of tough to walk through. I would encourage you, let's revisit those things, because sometimes I believe that our desires and our passions are God-given. What makes you laugh? What makes you cry? And what do you sing about when no one's around? I'm going to say that again. If you like that, drop a heart or a thumbs up. Give us some sort of comment so that we know if that resonates with you. When we're talking about passion, what are the things when you feel rejected that you can still say that even if my chances are 1 in a million, I'm going to keep going after this. What drives that passion is what makes you laugh, what makes you cry. What do you sing about in the shower when nobody's around? What is that song in your heart that you're like, man, I got to dream a beautiful dream. I need to go after these things. So there's something there, I believe. There's something like when you start to identify what those things are, you're like, man, that's kind of like part of my soul and my spirit. That's not just like something I read or saw on social media. Like, this thing keeps me up at night. I'm very passionate about that. It sounds like that's a lot like what Carrie Underwood experienced as a little girl as she was chasing her dreams of becoming a star. She said, I wouldn't be here without my family. So she had a great family support system. She said, I never thought I would make it this far. Her silky smooth vocals immediately set her apart from the competition. When she was crowned the winner of American Idol, she became an overnight sensation. And she said winning was just the start. It was about what came next. So she had her debut country album. Might have heard of this song, Jesus Take the Wheel, or Before He Cheats. If you like Carrie Underwood, what's your favorite Carrie Underwood song? Share with the group. Give a heart and a repost on this if you feel like this is a neat topic that somebody might be encouraged with. But Carrie Underwood, she also, in winning, she wanted to become a champion of change and encouragement. She was quoted as saying, "If you have a voice, you should use it." I think sometimes, and so if you don't know who I am, that's cool. I'm a high school football coach, 4-time state champion in the state of Texas, and I try to use my platform and the lessons that I've learned over the years to inspire young people to become more, to give their best, to bring their best every single day, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's in their job, whether it's in a sport, in the band, in the choir, in the chess club, all the things that kids and young people love to do. But like, here's the deal too. I've done this so long that I have a lot of parents and a lot of adults like, "Hey, will you come speak to this group? Will you come speak to my company?" All these things. And I count that a privilege and an honor that people would trust their team, right? Their academy, their school with the message that we're bringing. And so Carrie Underwood said, if you have a voice, you should use it. I think sometimes, whether young or old, people say, "Oh, I don't really have a voice because I'm not a coach. I don't have 20 people on the basketball team or 100 people on the football team that I'm over, or I don't own a business. I don't have 30 employees." And so I kind of go to my job. I do my job well. I do my job to the best of my ability. I have a lunch break. I might talk to a few coworkers on my lunch break, but I don't know that I'm making an impact. I don't know that I'm making a difference. And I think sometimes maybe that's where we maybe miss it. So my dad has been in the entertainment and ministry world through music for over 50 years. And he has performed in various countries. He's performed before presidents. He's performed before in front of other artists, many well-known artists. I'm not going to name drop right now, but like growing up, I got to see my father tour the country and sing and take the stage, and it was really cool. And then the stories, right? The stories over the dinner table that you hear, and one of the things about my dad singing and entertaining is I got to see him use his gift to encourage and inspire people. And there are stories that came in that when one of my dad's songs would come over the radio, this is many, many years ago, or someone was playing a song that brought some hope and some encouragement into their life, that there were letters, handwritten letters that would come in where people who felt like they were in moments of desperation, right? Their mind was playing game, that they all of a sudden, through the music, felt the inspiration to keep going. And that's basically, I mean, again, if you're we're talking about music, we're talking about sports, we're talking about owning a business and being in charge of people. But what I was going to tell you about my dad is, yeah, he got to play and sing his music in front of important dignitaries, but some of his most special times have been just him and a guitar in a hospital room singing a song to one person. That wasn't, in the eyes of people, that's not really that big of a deal. But when that person might be on their deathbed and they're in the hospital and they asked for a special gospel song right before they may go out into eternity, that song to that one person might have been a pivot point moment for their own faith or for their own family. So that matters, right? You can sing in front of tens of thousands of people, and you do a 2-hour concert, and once you do it, it's over. And once it's over, the people go on about their lives. But to that person that's just lost a loved one and they put on that song, and that song does something, it stirs their heart, it brings a memory back. That can be a very intimate moment and a very special moment. And that goes along if you've got something to say, you got to say it. If you've got something to sing, you need to sing that song. But what a lot of people don't know about my dad's story, and that's fine. My dad's an independent artist. He's by no means world famous, although many years ago, some of his songs hit the world top 20 on the country charts. But like at the end of the day, my dad told me stories about when he was a young person, and before he kind of had those opportunities, he would go out in the country, and there was a little lake, and he would take his little guitar and he would start singing to no one. And while he was singing those songs, a tear would start to come down the side of his face. And he talked about how singing those songs, there might be a little animal that all of a sudden would kind of crawl up and almost listen to the music. Now, that's my dad's version of the story, but to him, it was a very pivot point moment because it was just him, his guitar, and a dream. I want you to think about that. What in that story might resonate for you? It might be you in a basketball shooting hoops outside at midnight when no one's around, just a dream. It might be you taking that journal out and writing the book. You didn't know it was going to be a book, but you got a story to tell and you want to share it. I don't know what that is for you, but for my dad, it was him, his guitar, singing songs when there was no audience, and a dream. He felt a calling. He felt a passion. He felt a desire to take and develop this gift and to use it to encourage others. That's what I believe leaders do. When we've been having these video lessons and discussions based on my book, So You're Telling Me There's a Chance, it's been very neat to look at the demographics of the people that jump on here. We've got young people, we've got older people on here, and to see all over the world where people are tuning in. It's been neat to see, and when I look at that, I think, man, what are they going through? Are they going through a tough time? Or are they going through a good time? Is there some sort of message maybe that we're sharing that might encourage them to go after and try something new that they haven't tried, or maybe to pick something up that it's been 10 years, it's been 20 years, it's been 2 months. They thought they were going to just kind of give up on that dream, but like something resonated with the message and said, you know what, I'm going to go after that again. So what is that for you in 2026? Is there something that you're going after that you put to rest? But now it's like, you know what? I'm going to pick that back up again, and I'm going to keep going. Because when we look at American Idols and the story of Carrie Underwood, not only did she want to use her voice for good, but she says here that she wanted to be authentic. She said, I've never lost sight of where I came from. I think sometimes when we experience success, I don't know about you, but human nature, sometimes we kind of get filled with pride. We start to get puffed up, right? Full of ourselves. And if we're not careful, we need to learn that we've got to, I believe leaders who lead the right way, whether they're leading a family, leading a home, leading a school, leading a church, leading a business, leading a little family, that there's got to be that mixture of like, hey, here's where we're going. Here's why we're going there. Here's how we're going to get there. And sometimes it's okay to say, I don't know how we're going to get there. And even if our chances are 1 in a million, like in the movie Dumb and Dumber, when Jim Carrey says, so you're telling me there's a chance? If there's a chance, here's where we're going. And I don't have all the answers, but by faith, we're going to move forward. When we're in leadership, there's got to be that blend and that mixture of confidence, faith, and then humility. Here's the humility, like we can't get so full of ourselves. My grandfather used to say, we're getting a little bit big for our britches. We're getting a little bit too cocky, right? There's got to be that blend when you're in a position of leadership that we're confident. Here's where we're headed. We're competent. That means we know how to get the job done. We're committed. That means we're not going anywhere. Okay, but then we're also have a sense of humility. Carrie Underwood says that you should dream big and don't let anyone tell you that you can't. So we're looking at leaders, we're looking at champions, and some of the champions we're looking at right now out of my book. So you're telling me there's a chance is the champions of found on the show American Idol. They had to face adversity, they had to face potential rejection, but they kept marching forward through fatigue and through exhaustion and through discouragement and through competition. That, hey, you got the golden ticket, you're going to Hollywood, you're going to the next round, you get, and it's cool to go back and reflect on some of these stories, because if you mention the name Carrie Underwood now in those who follow the music industry, she is established and well on her way to becoming a legend, just like her favorite Reba McEntire and Dolly Parton. And so another American Idol that you might have heard of, Kelly Clarkson. She's got her own sitcom and her own TV show. You know, she auditioned in 2002. That was the inaugural season of American Idol. And she sang a rendition of the song called Respect. You might want to look that up and listen to it. It was outstanding. And she later reflected on that performance. She said, I never thought I would make it this far. It was surreal. Don't you love that? I mean, some people go to the show American Idol and they feel entitled. And when they don't make it, they don't get the golden ticket. They don't get to go to Hollywood. They throw their little temper tantrum. Their family cusses out the judges. And then they feel like, you owe this to me. But when you look at the American Idol champion, Kelly Clarkson, she said, I never thought I would make it this far. And maybe I would submit for your consideration, maybe it was that humility. Maybe that was part of the spirit and the energy that came when she sang and when she opened her mouth and sang the songs. There was a gift there that she knew, maybe nobody owes me this, but I'm going to sing this song and see if it touches your heart. Maybe that is the secret sauce for some of these people, is there is a level of humility where they know, like, hey, apart from God opening this door or this gift that was given to me from birth, I need to make sure that I use this gift to be a blessing and an encourager to others. Like, what if that is part of the beauty that some of these artists have, that allows them to be drawn into people's on their playlist and into their living rooms, where they just like, I love this artist. And I don't really know why I love this artist. Yes, they're talented, but like beyond the talent, when they sing a song, it touches me right here. And that's leadership. Great leaders, I believe, lead from the heart. Yes, you can't just be, I'm a Texas high school football coach. If you just jumped on, I need you to understand like where I come from. I've been doing this for 3 decades. It's like pouring into young people, trying to help young people understand and learn how to play for something bigger than themselves, to be part of something, to be part of a team, whether they're a quote star or whether they have a role and their job is to maybe get in when your team is up 40 points or when your team is down 40 points, right? You have a role to play, and your role may not be that of the star, but your role still matters. Bring your best every day to practice because you're preparing for an unknown moment. But some people's role on a team, their job is like, hey, during a timeout or in between quarters, here's some water. I'm going to give some water to the person that's out there playing the whole game. But I believe that great leaders lead from the heart. Yes, you got to have the X's and O's. Yes, you've got to know the musical score and where each note hits and on time. Yes, in business, you have to end in the black. You want to make the sales. You want to achieve those bonuses and those things for yourself and for the team. That's called incentive, and that's great. And there's nothing wrong with that. And yes, when we're in leadership and we're in charge, we want to set the vision, we want to set the standard, we want to set the pace, we want to and then help communicate and help get people on the bus going all in the same direction, right? Get the right people in the right seat on the bus. Get people, if you're in a boat, get people rowing in sync and on time. But at the same time, sometimes in leadership, and I've been guilty of this, you can drive so hard that you don't treat people the way maybe you would want to be treated. Have you ever worked for a leader like that? Now, don't put down in the comments their name. Whatever you do, don't name drop. Don't be negative Nelly, and don't start talking trash about people on here. This is we're trying to build champions. But what I would love, if this message is resonating with you, put a heart or a bunch of hearts, share this, repost this, because we want the message of building champions to get out to the masses. Because I believe in today's society and today's day and age, we need this message more than ever. And what you say, well, what is that? People are discouraged. People are concerned about the economy. They're concerned about the wars and the rumors of wars. They're concerned about politics. They're concerned, and we get paralyzed if we're on social media too much. My grandmother, my grandmother passed away years ago, but I loved my Mimi. We called her Mimi. And we would go out and visit Mimi. And sometimes Mimi would, in the afternoon when we would go visit her, she would have the news channel on. And the problem is the news channel had been on for hours upon hours upon hours. And as you know, 24-hour news, yes, they want to bring the most current news, but they cycle that stuff over and over again, especially the negative stuff. And when we would go out there to visit my grandmother, Mimi would be so worked up from the news of the day that she was almost, as a loving grandmother, she was awesome, but she would get a little bit worked up and a little bit hysterical because for hours and hours, she had been pumping her ears and her eyes full of just the news. And sometimes, I don't know about you, you may listen to a news channel or a news station that's just completely uplifting and encouraging, but sometimes the news channel makes money off of sensationalism and negativity. And that's been verified. I've got several friends that are in the news industry, and they said, look, when we do a positive story, there's not a whole lot of clicks. There's not a big click rate or a follow rate or a retweeting and those sorts of things. Those, like the stories that get shared. I mean, I work with high school young people. And guess what, man? When there's a fight in school, what would the kids do a few years ago? They would pull those cell phones out and they would record that fight. And then before you know it, they're sharing it on all the different socials. And you're like, Coach, did you see the fight? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And, oh, it's got 10,000 views in 10 minutes. And you're like, what is going on? Because what we love that. We love the negative stuff. And so my point is, in this society where whether you're younger or you're older, whether you're worried about the economy or the stock market or finances, or you're just now starting out your life and you're about to graduate high school and you don't know where you're gonna go to college or what job you're gonna have, or if you have enough savings account to buy a house, or we're gonna have to rent because I need to buy a car. That all those things that life can bring. Breathe, step back, pray. Look up, look out, because in the middle of challenges are the champion leaders who are going to find, build, create solutions. In the middle of every obstacle is an opportunity, something somewhere for me to step up and use my gifts to go solve a problem. And people will pay you to solve problems, okay? If I have a hunger problem, I'm going to go get me some Mexican food. I'm going to get me some chips and salsa. I'm going to order some enchiladas. I'm going to order some tacos. I'm going to order, burritos. I'm going to order gorditas. I'm going to order the things. Those of you that are from my wife and I are from South Texas, so we've been introduced to really good Mexican food, Tex-Mex food, authentic Mexican food. We love the chips and the salsa and the queso and the guacamole and all those things. And if you got my first book, you would know that chapter 1 of the first book that we ever released, the title of the chapter is Chips and Salsa, but it's not about chips and salsa. It is, but it isn't. So if you don't know what that's about, you're going to have to get the book. It's not this one. It's the first one. And so you can go to our website, you can get on all the socials and see what we're about, follow us. You have to get the book. It's not this one, it's the first one. And so you can go to our website, you can get on all the socials and see what we're about, follow us, like, share, repost, heart, do all those things. But Chips and Salsa, it's about the good stuff in life. And I want to focus on the good stuff in life because there's enough stuff that's being thrown at us that's negative. And I'm just telling you, the reason I spend a little bit of time on this is just I'm convicted of this because I'm a coach, and my job is to help rally everyone and help everyone get on the same page when it comes to here's what we want to do, here's how we're going to do it, here's why we want to do it that way, and then here's what can happen if we buy in and make these things happen. Here's the memories that can be made, here's the relationships, here's the adversity we'll face, and then you'll learn that we can face that adversity head on and overcome. Now, does it always work? No, because we have something called the human element. Also in competitive sports, sometimes the ball just bounces a weird way. Sometimes it's just not your night. And that's okay too. But you know what? When you go after things that you want, you might fall, but you didn't fail. Learn to get back up and keep going. And that's what we're talking about. So you're telling me there's a chance, even if my chances are 1 in a million. That's what I needed to hear, baby. You're telling me there's a chance. And so when we're talking about American Idols and why music resonates, and there's got to be something about the blend of strong leadership mixed with humility and leading and loving people the right way. And so we're talking about Kelly Clarkson and when she experienced victory through the show American Idol, she said when she was building her career, she said, I just want to create music that feels good. Man, has your song ever come on? Right? Type below what your song is. Whatever your favorite, your hype song, right? In baseball, they have the walk-up song. They have the walk-up songs. We're like, hey, this kind of gets me going. And I've got some, sometimes when I'm doing these video broadcasts, some of my former student athletes will jump on here and they're like, Coach, do you remember when we did this, when we accomplished that? And I'm like, many times I remember the stories, and then sometimes they'll share something. They're like, Coach, when you said this, that just got me fired up. I'm like, I don't really remember saying that because I've been doing this a little while. But if that got you fired up and got you ready to go, man, that fires me up just knowing that. But like when we're talking about American Idols and Kelly Clarkson, she says, I just want to create music that feels good. What is your hype song? Man, we need to get up every day, and whatever your hype song is or your playlist, make sure that you are getting yourself ready to attack the day. In football, in the state of Texas, many times we call Monday Momentum Monday, because Monday's that first day of the week, and you're coming off a weekend. You may or may not feel like going to school or going to work or going to practice or whatever that thing is. But what we know about winners and champions establish momentum. They create that momentum. They sustain that momentum. So what better day to do that on than Momentum Monday? If you like that, heart below, comment below, Momentum Monday, and put some caps on it, right? Because we got to attack Mondays with that kind of mindset. Mindset Monday. Some of my coaching buddies use that mindset. I'm going to have the mindset of a champion, right? Tuesdays. You've had a good practice on Monday, a great day or a bad day. You know what? The sun's going to come up. Now it's Tuesday. What is Tuesday? Tuesday is terrific Tuesday. Well, Coach, sometimes my kids come to say, Coach, you don't know what I'm going through at the house. I've got some buddies that own businesses. Like, man, the economy's dipped in our industry, and like we're struggling to pay the bills. Well, you know what? It's still got to be terrific Tuesday, because I got to show up there. And if I'm a leader, people are depending on me to be my best. I've got to be on point. My family, my wife is depending on me to show up and be my best as a man. My wife and I have 3 sons. Now they're young adults now, but when they were growing up and they were little and I was tired and I was coming home tired, but like now my real job begins. Those little guys, those little eyes are watching me. I can't come home and kick the cat, kick the dog, throw a temper tantrum. That's not champion. That's not being a champion. That's not being a man of excellence. So but did I always show up and do it the right way? No. But that's why I'm passionate about this, because you know what? I missed the mark many times. I've missed the mark many times, but I'd like to think by the grace of God and a lot of forgiveness and a lot of faith to keep going that I've gotten better. As a leader, that's what we've got to do. Each day is an opportunity to wake up and do a little bit better than yesterday. Do a little bit better than yesterday. And so, if Monday is Momentum Monday or Mindset Monday or, in the football world, Mojo Monday, what's the mojo? That's the magic. If you like that one, you can comment below. Let me know whether you like Momentum Monday, Mindset Monday, or Mojo Monday. Hey, I got a comment. It says, I like your hairstyle. Me too, man. Maybe we have the same barber. I don't know. But I've earned this hairstyle. When you work with young people and you work with their parents in the world of Texas high school football, state champion, I'll tell you what, it can get a little bit stressful. So sometimes you might either your hair turns gray or you lose it. But you know what? Here's the deal. My wife loves my hairstyle, so that's what matters. And so, Momentum Monday, terrific Tuesday. And I tell our kids, like, if you do this right during the summer when it's hot in the state of Texas, it'll get well above 100 degrees, right? And sometimes you're training and it's hot and it's sweaty. And it's like, hey, this is Tough Guy Tuesday. It's not only terrific Tuesday, this is Tough Guy Tuesday. You know why it's Tough Guy Tuesday? Because we're about to attack this thing and get after it. And if you do it right and you work hard, maybe tonight at dinner, it'll be Taco Tuesday. And if you go to the beach or the swimming pool, guys, throw on that tank top because it's Tank Top Tuesday. We got all kinds. Tell me what you like. You like Terrific Tuesday? You like Tough Guy Tuesday or Tough Girl Tuesday? Do you like Taco Tuesday, Tank Top Tuesday, or do you like all the above? I think some of y'all would have liked to play for me and our coaching staff. I think some of y'all would have liked that. I think we would have made a lot of memories. But you know what? Whoever your coach is, we all need coaches in our lives. I have several mentors and coaches, and I don't mean sport coaches. I have several people that I can call right now, and I need to. I'm facing this right now, and I'm not sure which way to go. Will you speak into my life? Okay. Do you have a coach? Do you have a mentor? Do you have someone that pours into you, maybe that disciples you, that helps you become more, that maybe helps point out some of your blind spots, that help you become better? Or are you over here just crossing around, man, I don't need help. I'm good. That's a dangerous posture, man. That's a dangerous posture. Whether you're a young person or even an older person, we can all keep learning and keep growing. Okay? And so I believe that we all need someone that's pouring into it. I think we all need coaching. But like back to like champion mindset, Momentum Monday, Mindset Monday, Mojo Monday. Y'all may have another one. Tough Guy Tuesday, Tough Girl Tuesday, Terrific Tuesday. And then you get to Wednesday. Wonderful Wednesday. Wonderful Wednesday. You don't understand. It's not wonderful. What I've been going through, my marriage is on the rocks. That relationship of 7 years is hanging on by a thread. My child just got diagnosed with this, and I don't feel like today is a wonderful Wednesday. It's okay. What I'm not talking about is pie in the sky. Everything's coming up rainbows and flowers and cupcakes with sprinkles. I'm not talking about burying your head in the sand and not calling things as though they really are. Because sometimes and you'll hear me say this all the time, we need a checkup from the neck up. In a football game, when things aren't going well, we'll get on the headset and we've got coaches up in the box that can see things from a much better angle. I'm like, what's going on? Why that play should have worked? Why didn't that play work? And they sometimes can see things that we don't see. That's what a coach and a mentor does. That's why we need a coach and a mentor. And that's why we need, sometimes they can say, hey, I know we thought that play, we practiced that play all week and it was looking good, but here's why we think it's not working. That's life too. Hey, I thought that, this job was going to be great, but like, hey, things changed. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. Things changed. And when things change, sometimes you got to step back and say, hey, let's call it what it is. That's not working real well. Okay, so what now? What are we going to do about it? Champion leaders rise up. They lean into that, say, okay, good. Now I get to show what we're made of. And if we don't have that posture and that mindset of confidence, of belief, of grit, of passion, if we don't possess that yet, that's okay. There is somewhere around you going to be a leader that says, hey, follow me. We're going to get through this. Let's hold the ship steady. Let's hold her steady. And then you follow me and I'm going to lead us through this tough time. And if you find yourself in the middle of frustration and you find yourself in the middle of a tough trial that you're going through and you don't feel like you've developed that struggle muscle, you'll hear me refer to that struggle. Just like in the weight room, we got to get under the bar and we increase weight, and over time you get stronger and stronger. You build in a struggle muscle in your heart when you go through hard times. Nobody likes to go through hard times, but there is something when we go through these tough times. The positive leader, the champion builder will lean into that and say, okay, good. What can I learn from this? This one here, this one's a humdinger. This one is tough, what we're going through right now. And let's call it what it is. We don't have to like make believe, oh, this is so wonderful. It's Wonderful Wednesday. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'll tell you this, if you are negative and you stay negative, you will probably have a really hard time digging yourself out of this, whatever this is. So that's where we got to step up and say, all right, if you're a believer, say, God, show me. I need some wisdom. Give me strength because I can't make it without you. That might be one of the greatest, most sincere prayers. God, save me. I need you. That is an honest and transparent prayer. That's better than crossing our arms saying, don't call me, God, I'll call you. But I'll tell you what, also, we need to seek out wisdom and understanding from other mentors and peers who have walked through tough times, and we need to take them out to lunch and say, how did you get through that? How did you get through this? When your marriage went through that, how did y'all get through that tough season of life? When your kids became teenagers and they did this, how did you survive that? Did you lose all your hair like me? I don't know. But we've got to get around other champions who have been there and done that and figured out how to fight the good fight, keep the faith. And that might be enough wisdom to give us some tools in our tool belt to make it through whatever storm we might be going through. And that's what we're talking about, is we're talking about champion level leadership. And if you just jumped on, I'm Stephen Greek. I'm a Texas high school football coach, 4-time state champion. But more importantly than that, I'm married to the love of my life. I have a beautiful, wonderful wife. We have 3 amazing sons. 2 of them just got engaged a few weeks ago. So we're going to be gaining some daughters, and we're excited about that. Like, your job can't define who you are, because jobs will come and go. Just like we tell our athletes, when you play in a sport, once you hang up the sneakers, you take the shoulder pads off, that helmet off for the last time, that was beautiful. It was memorable. It was amazing. But there's a season, there's a time and a season for everything. And there's a reason for the season. And when you go through that, there's a great opportunities for growth. And we as coaches, sometimes we like to expose our athletes to tough times. That's why we love Tough Guy Tuesday. And if you just jumped on, we were talking about kind of the practice schedule of the week, Momentum Monday. But you got to have that positive mindset that as a leader, I'm going to create great momentum. If you're a business owner, a CEO, and you're over hundreds of people, then we show up on Monday, go in that meeting with some energy. If you're juiceless, you're useless. If that's one of your favorite things that I've said tonight, put some hearts, put some follows, repost that, retweet that, because we're trying to reach people with a positive message. And it's from my book. So you're telling me there's a chance, even if your odds are 1 in a million to get the job done, you know what? You're telling me there's a chance. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. So leaders, if you're a business owner, don't show up all negative. Well, we didn't reach our goals last quarter. Well, okay. That's true. And you can say that, and you can say that the way you think you need to say it. And that's fine. But I'm talking to the champion leaders out there. I'm talking about the people that want to make a difference in people's lives. People who want to impact, influence, inspire, and ignite the champion inside their team. And when I say team, I'm not talking sports. I'm not always talking business. It might be in your own little home, your little academy there, just you and your spouse and your little animals. Or maybe you've got some kids. Or maybe, I know we've got several friends who have never been able to have their own children of their own. But they have said, you know what, I still want to make a difference. I'm going to volunteer down there at the youth department at church. I'm going to volunteer at the school, and I'm going to help tutor. I've got my sister or my cousin has some children, and she's a single mom, and we're going to go take those kids out for lunch and we're going to pour into them. We're going to do a book study, a Bible study. We're going to help them with their homework. We're going to go throw the football or shoot the basketball or teach them some volleyball or go play tennis. We're going to pour into other people. That's what champion leaders do on a regular basis. They wake up every day and they say, I want to go make a difference in someone else's life. Because if we don't do that, and here's my concern. If you've got a song, you got to sing it. We've been talking about American Idols in here. Carrie Underwood, Kelly Clarkson, there's more. But if there's a song in your heart and we don't sing it, I'm concerned that that's insulting to our Creator. He gave you that song. He gave you that gift. If we've got a journal or an essay or a letter or a poem to write, we need to write that and share that. And I said earlier, don't share it with, if that message it's not time to share with everybody, then don't share it with everybody. Maybe that song was for one person in your life. Maybe that poem is for one person in your life. Maybe that dream and that vision that you're putting up on your vision board in the next 3 to 5 years down the road, maybe that's just for you and your spouse. And y'all are going to talk about it, pray about it, dream about it, work toward it. Or maybe you've got a long-term goal. Sometimes the song in our heart, yes, I don't want you to feel like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth, but like that's where we got to pray for the wisdom and seek out the wisdom and the mentorship, because there are some dreams. I started writing these books that are 30 years of experience in leadership, in competitive athletics, in championship programs, in successful business endeavors. I started writing the stories are mine and others from 30 plus years of experience. I started writing these books about 7 years ago, but it was about 2 years ago that I started taking the journals and saying, I'm gonna form this and start typing this out. And I thought, oh, this might be a book. And then it turned into like, whoa, there's so much content here. It might be a couple of books. And then I realized, and I'm not gonna spill the beans here, but there's a lot more than the 3 books that we've released. We're going to start releasing books about every 30 to 60 days, and we've got 2 years worth of content or more, because these stories need to be told, because there are people out there that they are faced full of mountains of challenges and obstacles and roadblocks in their life and in their relationships and in their businesses and with in their parenting, that they need these stories of encouragement to keep going. And not just to keep going, but feel like, I'm not just going to survive, I'm going to thrive. I'm making a decision. Because you're telling me there's a chance. Even if my chance is 1 in a million, I'm going to keep believing. I'm going to keep going. And so we've been talking, and I'm a high school football coach, 4-time state champion. If you wonder why I keep repeating that, is when we started this just a little while ago, there was not even 100 people. Now there's well over, there's a lot of people on here. And so I'm excited because we want this message: like, share, follow, heart, repost, all those things. We thank you. If you feel like someone could benefit from the message of encouragement, then we want to get to them. And so as a coach on Mondays coming off the weekend, we got Momentum Monday. Champion leaders are going to create great momentum with great energy. Tuesdays are Tough Guy Tuesdays, because the Tuesdays are typically our hardest practices, because we're building to game day. And on Tuesdays, we got to get after it. I mean, we're going to purposely create adversity and tough times and tough things and tough drills and skills, because we got to create a tough team. Because when you're facing adversity in sports and in life and in business and in relationships, you got to have a struggle muscle built in to face some of the obstacles and some of the hurdles that you're going to face. Because if you're weak sauce, all right, if you're weak sauce, then the little bit of adversity strikes as a team, you're going to fold. You're going to fold. But if we can create some resolve, and even if the scoreboard doesn't show what we want it to show, you still know when a team never quits, never gives up, and stays tough. There have been times that we have beat teams by 50 or more points, and that other team kept playing to the very end. And like after the game, we would shake hands with those coaches and say, "Coach, that was phenomenal. Your kids are playing so hard. And I've been on the other side of that. There have been times where my teams have gotten destroyed. But one thing we always challenged our kids to do is you play to the very end. It has nothing to do with the scoreboard, because the scoreboard, people want to measure, like when you're winning by 30, I believe championship teams still play like they're down 10. I'm going to say that again. If you like that, heart, give me an emoji, something you like. An amen, hand clap, something, a flex. You got a flex for me? Because even when you're up 20 or 30 points and it's the third or fourth quarter, a championship team won't let off the gas, okay? And they will play, even in the fourth quarter, they will play like they're down 10 points because they've just been trained to do such a thing. They take such great pride in their craft. And that's what championship teams do. Got to do it. And so whether you're up 40 or down 40, the scoreboard is just a reflection of where you're at. And so Momentum Monday, Tough Guy Tuesday, wonderful Work Hard Wednesday. Because champions love to work hard. They love to work smart. But on Wednesdays, you still got to bring it. You can't like take a day off. So, oh, yesterday was such a good practice. Man, we were awesome yesterday. We should go, let's go celebrate how awesome practice was. No, we're building toward the game. If Tuesday's practice was great, Wednesday's practice needs to be a little bit better. If Tuesday's practice wasn't very good, then you still have a new opportunity because the sun came up. You got a new opportunity for Wednesday's practice to be a good one. We ought to be striving for good or great every day. Average, no. Average makes you want to, it's lukewarm, man. It just makes you, it's average. Let's not wake up and be average. Husbands, dads, moms, wives, workers, grandparents, team captains, whatever you do in life, do it with all your heart, mind, soul, and strength. Because anything less than your best is an insult. I believe that. And so, Momentum Monday, Tough Guy Tuesday, Work Hard Wednesday, Thankful Thursday. Thankful for what? Thankful for eyes to see, ears to hear, a voice to speak. There's breath in my lungs, that my heart is beating. I can use these hands to work. I can use these feet to walk or run. I'm thankful for that. If you've got a pulse, you've got a purpose. If you like that one, retype that out. Somebody you know needs to hear that because they're discouraged. And that's why this message matters. That's why I'm passionate about this. If you've got a pulse, you've got a purpose. 3 years ago, my father, who I love, and I shared a little bit about earlier in this lesson, I shared a little bit about my father. I'm blessed because I have an amazing father. My dad is my best friend. I had an amazing childhood, amazing as a teenager. I have an amazing mother as well. I'm blessed to have had an amazing childhood and family experience. And to this day, my dad is in his late 70s, mid to late 70s, and he's still going strong. But 3 years ago, my dad had a massive heart attack. He was rushed to the hospital, and while he was in the hospital, he died on the table. And the doctors, about 12 to 15 doctors, rushed in, and they used the electric shock pads, and they revived him and reignited his heart. And that's been over 3 years ago. And I've got 3 bonus overtime years with my father. And I hope we have many, many more together. But I remember that day so well. And I won't go into great detail, but like when you talk about, we're talking about practice schedules. Because practice prepares you for the game. It prepares you for the contest. It prepares you for the test. And some of us on here tonight, you're going through practice. You're going through tough times, but we don't know that it's preparing us for the game and the real contest that's on its way. And we're going to need the good times, and we're going to need the tough times to have the strength to carry us through what's in the future, I believe. And I'm so thankful. I talk to my dad today. I talk to my mom and my dad almost every day. And we live in Dallas. They live in South Texas. We live essentially 8 or 9 hour drive away from each other. But we'll FaceTime or we'll talk on a very regular basis, sometimes multiple times per day. I'm thankful that I have a family like that. And you may be sitting there saying, Stephen, my family's horrible. My childhood was ridiculous. And I am so sorry. I've got many friends who we've had private conversations, and I won't say too much because I don't ever want anyone to feel like I'm giving away anything that's confidential. That's my job as a friend and a mentor and a coach. But I've got some friends that say, I couldn't stand my father. My father was negative. My father was an alcoholic. My father was abusive physically or verbally. I've had friends and relationships over the years where they had an amazing dad, but their mother was absent or addicted to something, and it caused childhood trauma or teenage trauma. It caused it caused friction in their relationship. And you may be there. Many of you may have struggled with substance abuse, or like, hey, I'm listening to you right now and I'm a parent, and I will acknowledge that 10 years ago I was not a very good parent, and I fractured the relationship with my children. Don't you give up on your kids. Don't you give up on that relationship and establishing a newfound relationship with your family. And again, I believe in boundaries. I believe in healthy boundaries. I believe in counseling. I believe in so I don't know your personal private situation, but globally, because I'm telling you, you're telling me there's a chance. One reason I am optimistic, or maybe the core reason I'm optimistic, is I have faith. I believe there is a God. I believe God can forgive. I believe God can save. I believe God can redeem. I believe God can heal and transform. That's the beauty. That's the heartbeat of why I am passionate about this, is because I believe this message, and I would never pretend, I don't want to be preachy, but I do believe that people need to be inspired. And so if there's something good that you hear that we bring, it's not my message. I mean, my message is packaged in the core message that changes everybody's life, I believe. Okay. And so, but when I thought I lost my dad 3 years ago, and my mom and I and my sister and all our family was prepared, like we didn't know if we'd get to say goodbye. You all of a sudden you reflect back and you think of all the good times. You're so thankful for those, but also some of the tough times. And you're like, there's a little bit like, man, I forgive me. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I didn't honor you. I didn't respect you. I didn't appreciate you the way I should have, the way I could have. When we look back in life, kind of like when you're driving down the road, you have that rear view mirror. It's a very small mirror, but it has a purpose. We look and use that rear view mirror because it shows us what's behind, and we got to know what's behind us. Okay? But also, excuse me one second. Also, when we look in that rear view mirror, the front view mirror is much larger and much bigger, because that's the most important mirror. That's where we're headed. So if your past is full of failures, mistakes, scars, look in the rearview mirror, acknowledge where you come from and the lessons that you can learn from that. But then look in the front mirror, because there's so much more that we're headed toward. And that's why I'm thankful. Even though 3 years ago we thought we lost my dad, I'm thankful that each day is a bonus day. It's an overtime day. It's another opportunity to say, I love you. I appreciate you. Thank you for teaching me this. I value you. I value you. I'm so thankful. So again, if you just jumped on, championship teams and programs, they have a structure and a plan to have success. Momentum Monday, Tough Guy Tuesday, Work Hard Wednesday, Wonderful Wednesday, Thankful Thursday. And then in the state of Texas, most of the high school football games are played on Friday nights. There was a book written many years ago, a movie released, and a TV series called Friday Night Lights, because in the state of Texas, football is a pretty big deal. I played college basketball. I signed to play football, but I ended up playing college basketball. I love all sports. I love tennis and golf, and I love volleyball, and I love basketball, and I love baseball and softball and soccer. I love all sports. I love anything where people can come together and be part of something bigger than themselves. But I will tell you, in Texas, as a 4-time state champion coach, that Texas high school football is a pretty big deal. But man, on Friday night, it's time to let it loose. Turn it loose. Fast Friday. Freaky Friday. We're kind of like Jimmy John's. We're freaky fast, right? That's what we aspire to be. If you like that one, put a heart emoji, or you can put the emoji where they put their face where they put their hand in their face. Like, if you thought that was cheesy, that's fine. You haven't heard anything yet. You haven't seen anything yet, because as a coach, I've got all kinds of sayings. And some of my players that come back many years later, like, Coach, that story you said, or that one time you were so funny. I'm like, I don't even remember saying that. Sometimes I get going so fast, it comes from the heart, man. So if you like it, that's awesome. And if you don't like it, forgive me, because it's coming from my heart. Either way, you're telling me there's a chance. That's what champion leaders do. Super Saturday. And, for us, Sundays are a day of rest. So I don't even really have a word for Sundays. For us as a family, Sunday is our day to rest, catch up, worship, and catch our breath before we get going again on Monday. But like, if you've got a cool word that I can put on the front of Sunday, feel free to share it in the comments below. I'll look at those later when we get going. But again, just in summary, we're talking about how do you stay positive in the middle of a negative world. It goes from your head to your heart to your hands. And so we want to make sure that the information we're putting into our mind is good, it's solid, it's coming from a good source. And then we dwell on it, we reflect on it, we pray on it, we let it become part of our fiber, part of our DNA. And then when we go out the door, we just start living it. And that's like, it's so in coaching, you do a drill over and over and over and again, so many times. You run a play so many times, you want to become an expert at that, so that you can call it at any time in a game and you feel like your team will execute it at an extremely high level. Well, how do you get there? You have to do it over and over again to where the kids can execute it without even thinking. You hear this saying, like, they could do it with their eyes closed. That's when you know that you're starting to reach championship level. I've had times before where we've had friends or family say, when you and your wife went through that and y'all still carried yourself at this certain level, we don't know how y'all had the strength to do that. And I look back and I think, like in reflection, like, you're right. We were going through some crazy stuff, and I'm not taking any credit for it, because maybe during the times of plenty or the good times, we were still filling our heart and our lives with positive, faith-filled content and messages, that when we went into the battle, our default setting was, we're an overcomer. We're confident. We're over believers. We don't know how, but we're going to get through this, and we're going to do it a certain way. And that's, when we look at American Idols and champions, and we look at the things that people go through, I just want to encourage you, because like Kelly Clarkson said this, she said, I want my music to inspire people to stand up for themselves. That's what champion leaders do. And speaking of American Idol, if you just jumped on recently, we've been looking at American Idols, Carrie Underwood, Kelly Clarkson, and now maybe you heard of Jennifer Hudson. Right? Jennifer Hudson, from American Idol to Oscar winner and global icon. She was born in Chicago, Illinois. She said that when she was young, she grew up in a working class family. She was influenced by her grandmother and the church choir. Hudson developed a passion for singing early on. She said, I was always the little girl who sang. So cool. In 2004, she auditioned for American Idol, and she said, when she finished in 7th place, she said, I thought I would win, but I learned that my journey was just beginning. So here's what champions do also. Sometimes we fall a little bit short of our goals. She thought she would win. And frankly, I believe if you're going to be a champion, if you're going to go into a game and you already think you've lost, you've lost. I've had teams before that were ultra talented, but they started reading the clippings and all the trash talk and the socials and stuff like that. And then they didn't believe. But I've also had teams before, been part of teams before, that they were the underdog. And even in being the underdog, there was a level of belief, and they went into that game and they, quote, upset. They won a game they weren't supposed to. I think champions believe. Again, there's a fine line between being confident and being cocky. I'm not talking about being cocky. I'm not talking about trash talking and clapping over people and like you haven't done anything, but you just seen other people do it, so you think that's how you got to roll. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about having a confidence that we believe we put in the work, we can get this thing done. And I appreciate Jennifer Hudson saying, I thought I would win, but I learned that my journey was just beginning. She later would go on to star in the movie Dreamgirls, a great movie. She said, I was just grateful for the opportunity. Do you see that theme of gratitude and humility? Confidence with a mixture and a blend of humility. And she said, when it comes to authenticity, she said, I never want to lose who I am, she said in an interview. You know, it's amazing how she also said that her family is also her inspiration. And she said that every performance is a chance to grow. Jennifer Hudson, American Idol contestant, she said this, and this is one of my favorites. She said, if you have a dream, never let anyone take it from you. Dreams do come true if you believe in yourself. And that goes back to the theme of my book. Again, in the movie Dumb and Dumber, Jim Carrey has no chance with Mary Swanson. But when he asks her that question, and she says, 1 in a million, the mathematical odds he saw were still in his favor. He said, so you're telling me there's a chance. That's what champion leaders do. American Idol, Jordan Sparks, she became a global superstar. She said, music has always been a part of my life, and I couldn't imagine it any other way. What song, what's your walk-up song? What's your hype song? When you start the week, when you start your day, is it, oh, good Lord? Or is it, thank you, Lord? You know, we're all guilty. We're all, I say all, maybe you're not. Maybe you're just naturally optimistic. But many of us, sometimes, man, especially when we're run down, when we're tired, it's like, oh my goodness. But like, what if we approached every day as like, thank you, Lord, a new day, Momentum Monday, Tough Guy Tuesday, Terrific Tuesday, Taco Tuesday, Wonderful Wednesday, Work Hard Wednesday. You get to work hard. You don't have to work hard. You get to work hard. You don't have to go to work. You get to go to work. We have to reframe how we look at things. If you're a parent and the kids, you don't have to give them a bath at night. You don't have to make dinner. You get to. My wife and I have 3 sons. Our older 2 have been off in college, and our youngest, we're about to be empty nesters. I miss those days where we would play on the floor with the train set. I miss those days where we would take out the lightsabers and I miss those days where we would play with the little action figures or go out and jump on the trampoline or go shoot hoops. They're young adults. They're off. They're out. They're on their own. They're doing their thing. Our older 2 are engaged. They're soon to start a family of their own. I can't believe that 15 years ago or 20 years ago was, man, I have to help. I have to play with them. I have to do laundry. I have to get, those days are essentially almost over. And many times you wish for those moments. And when you're going through it, sometimes, yeah, you're tired, you're fatigued. I'm not saying it's easy. It's not easy. If you're a parent and if you're a parent, put an emoji below on how you're feeling right now as a parent. If you're a parent and you have a child, whether you're younger or older, if you are parenting, what's that emoji? I don't even know what you call it. If you're scoring touchdowns as a parent, if things are going great, you can put fire and flames. If things are tough right now, if the kids are sick, you can put whatever emoji. If you're a parent right now, comment below and let us know how parenting is going for you. Did you know we wrote a book? It's coming out. It's called The Parenting Playbook. My wife and I have 3 sons. They're in their early 20s. We're about to be empty nesters. We've been through that parenting journey. And let me tell you, parenting is not for the faint of heart. It's not for the weak. But like, let me tell you, every day is a chance. And you got a chance to impact if you're a parent, you got a chance to, that's the most important job you have. You work all day, you put in a 10, 12, 14-hour day. When you get home, now the real important job begins. I'm all about video games and iPads, but don't let iPads and iPhones and video games and all those things raise your child. We gotta get down there and get dirt. We gotta go play with them. We gotta read stories. We gotta do nighttime devotional. We gotta teach them how to pray. We gotta have those conversations. We gotta have silly, fun playtime. Because life is hard as it is, man. But that's what I'm saying is like, you don't have to do those things. You get to do those things. And if you're a grandparent, your kids are grown up, they've moved out, but you still have some sort of relationship with your child or your grandchildren, don't miss those moments. Invest in them and pour in them somehow, some way. Build a bridge. Find a common interest. Go. You say, well, I don't like their music. Well, go take them to a concert anyway. Put in some earplugs. Because if you value having a relationship with your children or your grandchildren, we can't be rigid. We might have to go down there into the mosh pit. We might have to go to a concert and bob our head to some of the music we don't even understand the words to. That's okay. That's okay. But like, if we value having a relationship with people, that's the thing. You don't have to do this. You get to do this. And so if you're a CEO or a director of some sort and you're over a lot of people, and right now the stress is high, right? And times are tough, and you're getting pushed on by your upper level leadership, or the board is putting pressure on you. Hey, what an opportunity to show your gifts and your talents. What an opportunity for you to rally your team around you and say, hey, I'm being pressed up. I'm being pressed on a little bit, and I know you're really good at this. Will you do more of that? And I know you're really good at this, and I know you cover my blind spot. So can you get this report ready? And I know you are really good at that. Will you help me put out those fires? You see, leaders have to identify not only what they're good at, but their weaknesses. And then they got to identify the other people on their team and say, hey, let's lock arms and let's go make a difference. Let's go get this job done. That's the challenge at hand. But we don't have to do those things. We get to do those things. And so when we look at American Idols, Jordan Sparks, she said, I wanted to create music that resonates with people. She said, I want to inspire young people to embrace who they are. She said, it's okay to not be perfect. We're all on our own paths. She said, I want to help others find their voices. And one of my favorite quotes that Jordan Sparks, the American Idol, said is, she said, dream big, work hard, and never give up. I appreciate that. Have you ever felt like giving up? Giving up on that relationship? Giving up on that job? Giving up on that child? Giving up on that friendship? Giving up on that team? I mean, if you do something long enough, there's going to be times of testing where you feel like throwing in the towel. And sometimes it might be time to throw in the towel and move on to the next challenge, the next opportunity. I'm not talking about what's next. I'm talking about, have you ever felt like giving up, like quitting, where 10 years down the road, you might regret that decision? Sometimes when we're going through the fire, it can be so hot and so intense that we just don't see any other way out than to quit and to give up. And I mean, according to Jordan Sparks, she says, dream big, work hard, and never give up. Don't give up on the things that truly matter. We can give up the shiny toys. We can give up the materialistic things that we can't take with us. But don't give up on the things that truly matter. I've enjoyed going through this series. My name's Stephen Greek. I'm a coach, speaker, author, entrepreneur, and one of the books that I've released recently is called So You're Telling Me There's a Chance. We do this because we want to make a difference in your life and in other people's lives. So if there's something you've heard tonight that encourages you, inspires you, impacts you in a positive way, influences you, and maybe you're starting to think about things a little bit differently, that's what we want to do. We want to ignite the champion inside everyone. And so if this blessed you tonight, like, share, follow, repost, turn on that little bell, and blast it out there, because we want to reach the masses with this message. The world is way too negative. And we need to fill our homes, our lives, our jobs, the workplace, our relationships, our friendships with something good's about to happen. And you know what? If you're like Jim Carrey in the movie Dumb and Dumber. And even if your odds are 1 in a million, you can say, so you're telling me there's a chance, because every day is an opportunity for something good's about to happen. Momentum Monday, terrific Tuesday, wonderful Wednesday, thankful Thursday, fast Friday, super Saturday. And then y'all below are going to comment and you're going to help me come up with a good word for Sunday. I just don't have one yet, because like I was telling y'all, Sunday is our family's kind of day of rest and worship, and I need a good one, because I want to add it to my practice plan, my game plan, so that we can make a difference in people's lives. But thank you. Get on our website, check us on all the socials, like, share, follow, repost, and you know what? Whatever happened today, whether it was a good day or a bad day, I want you to be encouraged. Because that sun is going to come up tomorrow, and it's going to be a new opportunity for you to personally grow, for you to work on some of the areas that you've been wanting to work on. You know that maybe there's a weakness there, and I need to address that. I need to work on that. I need to identify that, and then I'm gonna fill my life with some resources that help me become a little bit more, or a lot more. If there's some relationships that need to be mended, some forgiveness, I'm gonna call that person or write that letter and say, forgive me, I was wrong, please forgive me. And then also, tomorrow is going to be a new opportunity. You don't have to, you get to go attack the day and see what good things are in store. I believe, and the reason I believe is because I have faith. Faith is the substance of things hoped for. It's the evidence of things not seen. I don't have faith because I know how it's all going to turn out. That's not what faith is. Faith is believing, right, that something good's about to happen. So look up, look out, because great things are on the way. Be a champion, build champions, make a difference in someone else's life today. We'll see you next time.